I'm not going to lie, folks. Life just feels complete again being back in the studio. 2 segments down, just rolling them all out. I mean, I might be here till midnight with everything I want to say, but kind of staying with the NBA trend right now going into the NBA draft. Look, I did a show on this a couple weeks ago, then I kind of went on a little bit of a break. But I think the league has changed. The game has changed. For so long, I mean, people always held so firmly to that belief that if you don't have a quality center, you can't win. And yes, you can. Yes, you can. And we see it. Did the Golden State Warriors have a big guy? Andrew Bogut was useless in this series. Did nothing. Cleveland clobbered them on the boards. Tristan Thompson and Mozgov, they didn't have an answer for them in one of these games. But you know what they have? Wing players. Steph Curry's, Klay Thompson's, Andre Iguodala's, guys who can spread the floor, hit a three. That's what the league is today. James Harden, Stephen Curry's, LeBron's are the ones dominating wing players, not back to the basket centers like Jahlil Okafor. Now look, Jahlil Okafor is a tremendous basketball player. He was outstanding at Duke. But man, I look at him and I just say that's the NBA's in the 80s and the 90s. That's not what wins in today's NBA. If you're the Los Angeles Lakers and you're thinking about taking Okafor and you think that's what's going to get you to the back into being relevant and back to the finals, I think you're dead wrong. I think if you're the Lakers, you take D'Angelo Russell. Now, on my big board, D'Angelo Russell is the best player in this draft. I still have Minnesota taking Karl Anthony Towns because I'll go into this little spiel for a minute. Karl Anthony Towns is what works in today's NBA from a big man. He didn't shoot threes in college, and he looked like what I just said, a back-to-the-basket center, but that is because John Calipari, that's how he wanted him to play. That's the role he needed him to. One of the interesting things is, and if you go back and you look at Karl Anthony Towns' high school numbers, he led his high school. I think he broke his high school's record for three-point shooting. He's a guy who can shoot the three, and what John Calipari basically said is, you're not shooting threes here. If you could do it in high school, you'll do it again. You'll do it when you're in the NBA. He is what is necessary in today's bigs. You need to be a LaMarcus Aldridge, a Chris Bosh, a guy who's just not back to the basket, a guy who can hit perimeter shots, guys who can hit threes, basically. Chris Bosh can do it. LaMarcus Aldridge can do it. And Karl Anthony Towns is going to be able to do it, and I think that is why he is a smart choice. But man, Jahlil Okafor terrifies me. I can't tell you how many good centers in the NBA today just can't even whiff the playoffs. Al Jefferson is probably the best center in the NBA, along with DeMarcus Cousins. What did both of their teams not be able to do? Whiff the playoffs. I mean, look, last year Charlotte did make it, but again, this year, nothing. The Sacramento Kings don't even know what the playoff smells like. It's been so long. There's so many good back-to-the-basket centers, and it's not what wins in today's NBA, and that's why if I'm the Lakers, I already have a good guy like Julius Randle. I'm taking D'Angelo Russell. That is the prototype of what wins in today's NBA. Guys who are willing passers, guys who can score on the wing, guys who can shoot. Those are the players dominating in today's NBA playoffs. Look at the playoffs. Look at all the guys who made the headlines in the NBA playoffs. It's the wing players. It's the Kyrie Irvings. It's the James Hardens. It's the Stephen Currys. It's the guys like that. It's not back-to-the-basket guys. I mean, if it was, then the Sacramento Kings would be in the playoffs, or the Charlotte Hornets would be in the playoffs, or the Detroit Pistons would be in the playoffs with guys like Andre Drummond. Just doesn't happen, and it's the game has changed. It's about spreading the floor, being able to make shots, being able to maneuver with the basketball, and for that reason, I think Okafor scares me now, and I think Mitch Kupchak kind of expressed that. Look, he understands that the league has changed in that regard, but at the same time, he still holds on to that old school belief that back-to-the-basket centers still are important. And look, the Miami Heat made it to the 4 finals in a row without a center. They did. They made it to 4 finals in a row without a center. I just think in today's NBA, Okafor is going to be a good player. He'll probably put up good numbers, but not winning a title with that. I'm sorry, you're just not. It's a wing player league. That's what it is now. D'Angelo Russells are the type who win it. I do like Karl Anthony Towns. I think he's number one. I think you have to take him number one if you're Minnesota. He's a fit. He's going to do good things. He can spread the floor, shoot the three. I like Towns a lot. Two, a lot of people have Okafor going there. I do think the Lakers, unless they trade it, I think they probably will go Okafor. But like I said, back to the basket centers. It's not what wins today, folks. You can argue it all you want. The proof is in the pudding. Look who's winning NBA championships, not guys with back to the basket centers. D'Angelo Russell, a lot of people have at 3, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the 76ers are a mess. I mean, they just really are. You have Joel Embiid the other day with his foot setback situation. And I feel bad. I really do feel for the Sixers fans because it's tough to watch just irrelevance and just willing irrelevance. And look, D'Angelo Russell, to me, is the best player in this draft. But I don't know. You never know with the 76ers. If he falls to them, which he could, they should take him. But you never know with them, but I do think, I've said all along, I think he's the best player in this draft. He does remind me a lot of Russell Westbrook, but he is a pass-first guy. Has Westbrook's aggressiveness and scoring ability, but is a willing passer first, which if you're a lot of teams, I think that's something you'd be pretty excited about. Then I think when you look towards the after that, the Knicks are kind of the wild card. Where are they going to go? I think Moutier is the guy a lot of people are putting there, but there's going to be a lot more trade talk coming up if there's going to be something that happened with them. I don't know a lot about Moutier. I mean, I really have not seen a ton of him. I mean, look, he played in China, so there's not a lot of room aside from highlights. And I think it's kind of cheap getting by on highlights. Highlights are nice, and they show you the glamour things. But to really, really know a guy and know a guy well, you have to be able to watch him in a regular game. And it's just hard to get access of a guy like that. So for me, I'm afraid of him to really sink my teeth into. But these NBA teams clearly have a little bit more resources than I do in evaluating, and we'll see there. The guy whose name keeps coming up huge is Mario Hezonja. Now, when I first heard his name, I kind of thought it was a joke or something, but look, he's kind of seems like he's going to continue to kind of climb up and get a lot more attention. Again, another one of those guys where there's not that same level of access to the film with these other ones. Like, look, we've all seen plenty of Towns. We've seen plenty of Okafor. We've seen plenty of D'Angelo Russell to know these guys, what they can do, what they can't, what they'll do and translate to in the NBA. The other ones, not so much, and I think Hezonja is the one where people that I'm reading love this guy and everything that he can do, and we are seeing a trend where the foreign way of playing basketball, like whether it's European or elsewhere, is having an impact in the NBA. I mean, you look at what guys like Nikola Mirotic are doing. It does have an impact in the NBA, and in that more increasing world where the back to the basket center doesn't impact the game the way that they used to, they're becoming increasingly more useful to teams and organizations, and we'll certainly keep it updated. But I just think a word to the wise, because the 3 most important players that we're going to continue to discuss are D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns, and Jahlil Okafor. And the one of those guys that worries me the most is Jahlil Okafor. Again, he'll put up good numbers, probably like DeMarcus Cousins and Al Jefferson, but it's just not what wins in today's NBA. You can fight it all you want, but you've got to accept the league has changed. The whole game has changed. It all revolves around the three-point ball. Having a nice center is good, but you don't need an Okafor. You need guys like Tristan Thompson. Tristan Thompson is not a good offensive player, but Tristan Thompson is a great rebounder and a great defensive player. That's all you need from your centers. You don't need them to be the cornerstone of your franchise anymore. You just don't. You need wing players and guys who will chase the rebounds for those wing players. That's the game today, folks. Watch it. That's the game. That's what I felt all along, and I certainly am going to be interested to see. But again, go back and look at Karl Anthony Towns, because I think most people, after watching him in Kentucky, when you say, look, this guy is a three-point shooter, you're going to be a little bit surprised. But yeah, you go back and you look at his high school numbers. He hit a lot of three-pointers. He can do it. John Calipari, that's not the role that he had for him at Kentucky. And I think it'll be if he had it in high school, it'll be back with Minnesota. So just a word to the wise on this NBA draft. But coming back with soccer, it's been such a fun time watching the Women's World Cup. You've got Copa America going on. So much good stuff. So don't go anywhere. Coming right back.